Okay, so we're going to start the chapter 5, which is the names of the hells. So continuing, we are still in Trayastama heaven, and there is a bodhisattva who is asking the Buddha. And it is a famous bodhisattva called Samantabhadra, which is called like um, universal goodness. We can translate it in that way. So it is famous because of his power of transforming all the goodness, all the well-beings to all the beings. So when this bodhisattva comes, he asks the Buddha, like the benevolent one, for the sake of Devas, Nagas, the fourfold assembly. So the fourfold assembly is just the monks, female monks, the practitioners, and the female practitioners. Those are called the fourfold assembly, as well as all living beings in the present and the future. They speak about names of the hells, where the wrongdoing suffering beings of Jambadiva in the Saha world undergoing ripping effects. So just remind everybody, ripping effect means those unwanted effects or those evil effects that we don't want to see. Oh, and also the bad consequences. Yeah, so it's basically the same meaning that they experience, so that living beings of the age of declining Dharma in the future may know such results. So we see, like the Samantabhadra Bodhisattva ask, like, what's the result of the wrongdoing? So what's like what's the consequences over there that people don't want to see? And asking the Ksitigharbha Bodhisattva about what's going on. So we can see how would the Ksitigharbha Bodhisattva answer that? So he answered, benevolent one, now through the power of the Buddha's awesome spiritual penetration and through your strength, that of the Mahasattva I will speak of in brief about the names of the hells. We will notice that Ksitigharbha Bodhisattva is pretty how to say that? It's pretty straightforward saying, okay, it's because of you and because of the power of the Buddha, I'm able to say like the health, what's happening in the health over there. And now he's saying like the ripping effect and the bad consequences will be to the east of the Jambadiva. There are three mountains named Iron Encircling, dark and abyssal are these mountains. Without the light and the sun and the moon, there is a great hell there called extreme incessant. Okay, so you may arouse the question, why is it called extreme incessant? Here comes the description. And the name and the hell named Great Abichi. Furthermore, there's also a hell named Four Corners. So basically, you will see a short description over there. The four walls of this hell are made of flaming iron. The four corners will fire and burn the wrongdoers. And those are also like monks who calling themselves bhikkhus, but just keeping themselves all the money and trying to kill other beings, trying to make food of them. They will fall into this kind of hell, four corner hells. And the hell named flying knives. So when there are knives flying everywhere with fire. So that is called flying knives. And also there are like immeasurable number of knives taking falling from the sky, just killing all the beings. Well, there are also flaming arrows similar to flying knives. So the description is over there, straightforward. People don't want to see flying arrows. And also squeezing mountains. So squeezing mountains is the mountains are trying to close together and people standing in between those mountains and they will crash in a sudden. And the mountain will split up again and they will reborn between those mountains and being killed again and again. So this is extremely undesired and suffering. And also, there are also a hell called the piercing spearness. So it's a hell of all the swords. And also there are iron cards. So there are basically iron cards over there. So iron cards is the ancient vehicle where like people stand on the cart and taking all the knives, fighting all the beings. It's similar to what we think of tanks or all those like armored cars today. So they're similar things, but it's the Asian version, Asian description. And yeah, so here comes the description of Shakyamuni Buddha falls into this fell in the past life. This is not in the original sutra, but this is true in the other sutra. And like Shakyamuni Buddha has once fallen into this hell, and he's trying to holding all those cards, fighting against other people. It is extremely suffering because you have to take that responsibility. And then there's a hell named Iron Bed. So basically, all the beings will sleep on that bed, and the bed is being heated up, and it will burn in a sudden. And all the beings will suffer, no matter how many people sleep on that bed. And also, there are iron oxen. So on wrongdoing, tons will be pulled out and poured through by an oxen. So this is also another fired hell. And there are also iron clothing, where people have to wear fired clothes, iron clothes. And also there are 1,000 blades. So continuing, there are iron donkeys, molten copper. So there are many kinds over there. Just go through their name real quick, like pillar embracing, people will embrace on pillar, and flowing blazes, tongue blowing, head chopping, feet ablaze, eye pecking, iron balls, iron nexus. So let's continue. And the quarreling, people will quarrel all the time. And much anger, people will be angry with each other all the time. So now is the conclusion. Within the iron encircling, there are hells such as this. There are basically 18, so in summary, there are basically 18 large hells. Those are the large hells that the Bodhisattva names. And so from those hells, we know these are basically made of, like, let's say iron, copper, fire, and all those fighting machines over there. So you will realize those things are what we are doing nowadays. It's because of the mind of fighting, because of the mind of hating, and because of the mind of being stingy, being greedy. Those are the reason of getting into those hells. So now is what the Ksitigharbha trying to warning people. If we are continue doing those kind of things, we will fall into those hells. Well, this is another significant hell that people will fall into immediately if they're doing wrong things. It's the hell of crying out. So there's another sutra, not this one. It's in another sutra. The Buddha is talking about the sequence, like how people fall into each hell and how they are getting out. So if you are falling into, let's say, the hell of crying out, you have to suffer in this hell for basically thousands of years. So it depends on how many wrongdoings have you done. And after you suffered from, like, let's say in the description over there, they're falling into the big boiling iron pot, and all those yakshas, or to say demons in English, they're trying to putting you out from those hot boiling iron and putting you in until you're dead once, and again you reborn from the sky and you're falling down again. So this will happen for thousands of kalpas, and it is crazily undesired. So that's the reason why we don't want to do greedy. So I hope everybody still remember the video that we talked in the previous chapter. So there are 10 good karmas that we shall do. If you don't remember, you can go to chapter 4, where we discussed what's the, let's say, the good side, good karma will result in the previous chapter. So here is basically the bad result. So I will go through the names pretty quick, so you have an idea of what's the result. And the hell of tongue plunking, the hell of excrement and urine. So people just peeling out, that's just having the excrement everywhere all the time. And the hell of copper locks, and also the hell of copper locks. Okay, again. And the hell of flaming elephant. So the elephant is in fire. And also the hell of flaming dogs, the hell of flaming horses, the hell of flaming oxen, the hell of flaming mountains, the hell of flaming rocks, the hell of flaming bats, the hell of flaming beams, the hell of flaming eagles, and the hell of teeth sowing, the hell of skin flaying, and the hell of blood drinking, the hell of hand and feet burning, the hell of throne reversing. So then the hell of flaming houses, hell of iron houses, the hell of flaming wolves. So there are hells such as this, as the Ksitigharbha Bodhisattva says. And within each, there are there are one, two, three, four, or even as many as hundreds of thousands of smaller hells, each with a different name. So benevolent one. Such are the karmic consequences of beings of Jambadiva who do evil things, as we mentioned before. And here comes the sentence that is important. The force of karma is so great that it can rival Mount Sumeru in height. So Mount Sumeru is the mountain that is described by the Buddha as the tallest mountain over there in this Jambadiva world, or in this 3,300 world, and surpass the immersed oceans in depth and hinder one's cultivation of noble passes. So therefore, living beings must not underestimate those small wrongdoings and consider them harmless. So that's the reason why we shall not consider like every day we are doing wrong things and it's okay. We need to be fearful of them. So after they like reborn, they will fall into the six passes as we've mentioned before. Just to remind everybody that the six passes where people get good result is celestial, or to say the heavens and human, and then the animal and the hungry ghost, and then the hell. Ashura is kind of the being that going back and forth between them. And Ashura is just meaning angry beings over there. So they will be everywhere between different passes. Sometimes it is called 5 passes without Ashura. So now, through the Buddha's awesome spiritual power, I will speak in brief about the ripple effect of wrongdoing as occurred in hells. O benevolent one, please take a moment to hear these words. I have long known the ripple effect experienced in the 3 lower realms. I hope the benevolent one will speak about them, so that in later time, at the age of declining Dharma, all beings who do evil may hear your words and be moved to take refuge in the Buddha and avoid karmic consequences of the 3 evil passes. So basically, we see the reason of why Samatha Bandara Bodhisattva want to ask this question. It's because he's being compassionate of all of the beings later on. So we are in the age of declining Dharma. Declining Dharma just basically means when the Dharma is declining, it is going nowhere. Now it's time when Dharma is going nowhere, and people are really lucky if you are listening to this video, or you are like trying to hear my word through different channels, because you are able to hear the path to going out of those 3 evil passes. So the first thing, as the Samantha Bodhila mentioned, we want to take refuge in the Buddha, just to believe in Buddha says, okay, the Buddha is talking about the true things. And then Ksitigharbha Bodhisattva continues, because he thinks this is still not enough. He still wants to try to scare off all the beings. What's going on if they're doing wrong things. So like the ripple effect of wrongdoing as occurred in these hells are like this. So in some hells, the wrongdoers' tongues are taken out and they are plowed over by oxen. So this is one. So it's kind of like the fire oxes, like we mentioned before, flaming oxes. So in some hells, the wrongdoer's body are cooked in the full boiling liquid. And in some hells, the wrongdoer are compelled to embrace red hot burning copper pillars. So similar to the embracing pillar hell as we've mentioned before. And in some hells, fires burn and overtake the wrongdoers. So, and after the wind blows, and they are revived. And forever without rest, they receive the fire like that torture again. So in some hell, there are cold ice at all times. This is one interesting description, Because think of what we did today. Consider human not living in this earth, like people are living in, let's say, Saturn, or in the like just not Earth, in those like in a different planet where the wind is blowing quickly. So there's no atmosphere over there. When the wind is blowing so quick, it is hard for human to stay in the normal stage, like a stationary stage. Like people cannot breathe because the wind is constantly blowing. So like in this earth, let's say you are going to a extremely windy position, like the desert or somewhere. People will not be able to live over there. And this is what's happening in the hell. Like after the wind blowing, people will die, and they will reborn again. It is because of the karma they did. They have to reborn because they love this body. So they're going reborn and being blown up and reborn again. And also, there's also like a cold and ice hell, which is also interesting. Like thinking about people living in a extremely cold position, like like on a huge mountain, on tall mountain, or somewhere in the polar area. They will be just stay over there because it is cold. People will always in a station, like a stationary position. It is because cold is also related to greedy. This is one interesting conclusion from another sutra. So let's say if people are taking all the money into their pocket, they're not giving it out. It feels like a huge iced mountain because iced mountain is the mountain that just iced all the beings within the mountain without giving it out. This is what greedy will do. And this is a karma of greedy. And I hope this can make some connection between what we did every day and the karma. So there's a connection I find interesting. Okay, continue. In some hells, there is limitless excrement and urine, as I've mentioned before. And in some hells, there are solely flying caltrops, so it's a different kind of weapon. And there's calamity consequence for hunting. So if you are hunting beings, you should expect that. I mean, it is what's happening in before. Nowadays, people are using nets, so probably there are some flaming net hell over there, probably. And also, in some hell, there are many flaming spears, as mentioned before. So similarly, continued just flaming different kind of feet, flaming snakes, and also flaming dogs, iron dogs. So it is continued. So these four materials. What four materials? As mentioned before, they are made of copper, iron, stone, and fire. Yes, so those are the four major things that people use every day: copper, iron, stone, and fire. They're used to hurt other people, and they're coming back again because of the karma. It is reciprocal. So if you're using them to hurt other people, the karma will let those different kind of material, like copper, iron, stone, and fire, going back and hurt you again. So suppose I were to speak in detail about the ripple effect of wrongdoings as occurred in the hells, this will take many long, like unmeasurable time, because there are different kind of tournament that people have already applied. So now through the Buddha's awesome spiritual penetration, and at the benevolent one's request, I have briefly described this matter in this way. For if I were to explain in detail, I could not even finish in the kalpa. So a kalpa, as I mentioned, is 20 million years. And we see all the assembly over there are feeling sorrowful because this is what happened in the decline in nowadays. So yes, this is this chapter. Thank you. Okay.